say you're on, what do I do?
Day 4, the new temptations.
Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about today. The temptations have always been present in our mind. We all have a good heart. We try to live in a wholehearted way, but the temptations are the things that kick us back into an egocentric life, where we listen to our ego and we use our ego to push people, to exploit people, to get them off our back, whatever. Now we're going to learn what to do and be able to spot those temptations so we don't kick back into the ego. It will make a much better life for us. So here's Jesus talking once again.
Here, here. Day 4, the new temptations. While we will broaden the focus of today's dialogue beyond that of money or abundance, we will still be addressing this area of your concern, as well as all other concerns that may be surfacing as you begin to move through the steps toward acceptance. Acceptance has always been a word that stands out for me. Excuse me. Your anger will be serving you here as it brings attention to these areas most incorrectly influenced by the time of learning. Remember here all the arguments that I needed to present in that early part of this course, just to convince you that you are not alone and separate. Although my arguments were not fed by anger, your response will almost surely have been tinged with it at times. Although my arguments were not fed by anger, the arguments that arise now for you will be, and as such are not actually appropriate to this stage.
And such are.
Thank you. Although my arguments were not fed by anger, the arguments that arise now for you will be, and as such are actually appropriate to this stage of our dialogue. We can argue here before we go on. We face together here the temptations of these arguments, these temptations of the human experience. Yet we do not argue simply by engaging in debate. To engage in debate is but a strategy for proving one side right and one side wrong. We must begin with the realization that we are on the same side.
There is only one side.
Tell that to the people on the other side.
There is no other side.
Tell that to the people who think they're on the other side and continue to fight people on the same side and continue
to
to
tell the people
on the other side that you're all on and
try and tell the people on the other side and then duck. And run
on
like
the same
hell.
Side. The arguments we will be having will be meant to show you this, that on one side are temptations of the human experience, which is just another way of saying that all you have learned. On the other side will be the truth, the new temptations that will incite you to leave behind the temptations of the human experience. How can you feel as if you have a choice when the temptations of the human experience are the only choices that have been known to you? Thus, you must be given the opportunity here to see what other choices might be before you. The real choice is the first new temptation. As we discussed in yesterday's dialogue, learning has not been a choice. Both as divine design and as a pattern of the thought system of the ego, learning has been with you and within you. Although the divine design of the time of learning is being recreated, the ceaseless pattern of learning remains. The divine design of learning was a given, and a natural part of you, much like breathing. you have no choice about breathing. Yet neither do you, under normal circumstances, have to think about breathing. You might begin to think of all the givens of unity as those things that require no thinking. Learning was not meant to be linked with thinking. Again, yet again, I'll draw your attention. What's up? Were you just going to say something?
No, sorry.
Again, I'll draw your attention to the learning of childhood. Learning begins long before the onset of time, of language, that constitutes your ideas about what it means to think. Yep. In evolutionary terms, this was true as well. Despite the creation story that symbolizes man's journey, early man was not a being who learned in the same way that you do. Early man had no language. His mind was not full of thoughts. Early man and early childhood can thus be linked as examples of a kind of learning that, despite evolution, has not left any of you. You all begin life without the ability to think in terms you now associate almost exclusively with thinking, the terms of having thoughts or words, specifically words, in your mind. If you got words in your mind, you're thinking more than a baby can think. Even after the onset of language, children continue to learn without thinking. Does this not sound odd, foreign to you? And yet, this is the way learning was designed to be. Learning was given as a natural means of access to all that was available to you, but not through effort any more than breathing was designed to be effortful. Learning was designed, like the intake of breath, to be taken in and given out, inhaled and exhaled, learned and expressed. The ability to learn is given to all in like measure. The conformity of learning, however, is the product of an externalized system, that you all attempt to learn the same things, and in coming to identify the world in the same way, the way that's been taught, think you have succeeded in learning. It's the cause of the insanity of the world and of your anger with the way that things are within the world. Long sentence. Just leave out that middle part and read it real quick. That
You did it well. You did it pretty well.
It's a tough one.
It is.
That you all attempt to learn the same things to try and identify the world in the same way that you've been taught, and think that you succeed in learning because of that is the cause of insanity of the world and the way that things are. The anger with the way things are. This anger that stems from lack of choice. This is an anger that stems from lack of choice. When you were taught the way things are, where's there room for choice? Where's there room for discovery? And to find out that you were taught incorrectly, why should you not be angry?
Well, yeah.
You're here now not to relearn or be taught what life is all about, not to relearn or be taught the way things are, but to discover what life is all about and to discover the way to remake things as they are. This is the new choice, the first new temptation. The second new temptation is access.
Now he's going to discuss access.
You've been told that a place in unity, you've been told that in unity a place exists. That is your natural state. A state free from want, free from suffering, a state free from learning, a state free from death. To be told that such a place exists is no more comforting than consoling words if you don't feel like you have access to this place. It's like being told that all the treasure you might desire is locked away behind a gate to which you have no key. Access, then, is the key to the treasure. We have spoken at some length about access that seems to come through the mind. We've spoken of thoughts that arise that you didn't think. We've spoken of talents that were not learned. We've spoken of ideas that were not gained through effort. We've spoken of these things to begin to familiarize you with the given world, as opposed to the world of your perception, what we might call the worldview attained through learning. If you contemplate for a moment what you know about the example left by my life, you will almost surely realize fairly quickly that my life challenged the worldview of the time, and that it is still challenging the worldview of your time. Why might this be? Let me assure you of what you already know, that everything about my life was purposeful. That challenge was meant then, and continues to mean now, a call to a new choice. It asks you to challenge your worldview in a most thorough manner. The problem with this throughout the centuries has been a tendency to challenge one worldview only to replace it with another of no greater truth or value. My challenge has been reacted to as a challenge to be externalized, a call to create a new system, but nowhere in my example life is such a system found, despite all attempts to make it so. The example often used for the creation of a system that is that of my attraction of followers, my claiming of disciples. The term disciple can be linked here with the idea of succession. What I asked of my disciples is not more than I ask of you. I asked them to follow in my way. I
Follow me.
asked them, sorry?
Yeah, follow me. That's what he said in the Bible.
I asked them to be not as they once were, but to be as I am. I asked them to live, not in the world of their former perception, in a worldview that was taught to them, but to live in a new world, and by so doing, to demonstrate a new way.
Perfect. As usual.
419. All right. In the time of learning, however, it was natural that my example life was seen as something from which to learn. In order to teach what my life represented to those who did not know me, methods of teaching were devised. From these methods of teaching, rules developed. The
Yeah.
teaching was externalized and institutionalized. People began to see following me as belonging to an externalized institution, trying to learn what it would teach and trying to live the rules it would have them obey.
Live by the rules.
Trying to learn, trying to live by the rules it would have them obey. Much progress was made within these institutions, but also much misleading was done. This feeling of being misled is another cause of your anger, one of the primary causes in truth. Not only has all you've learned led to an inaccurate worldview in the here and now, but to an inaccurate worldview of the past, of the hereafter, of me and of God. Not only has your mind been misled, but your heart and soul as well. What could bring solace to an anger so profound? How can you be certain you're not being misled once again?
What a question. Right here. I mean, all the way into this book. He's just saying, this is what you're feeling. And he's showing us that he understands how we feel.
Mm-hmm. Here, here. The answer to both come in the stated purpose of A Course of Love, establishing your identity. You needed first to know yourself as a being existing in union before you could know anything else with the certainty you seek, for union is the treasure that has been locked away from you. What may be forgot after passing...
What many forgot.
Thank you. What many forgot after the passing of the first of my disciples was that they had access to this treasure. They still knew that it existed, but since they knew not how to access it, they called it the kingdom of heaven and longed for access to it after death.
It's powerful stuff.
Your anger here extends to yourself as well. For all of you know how many of my words have been forgotten, how many of the truths I expressed were still available to you, even within your religious institutions. You feel, perhaps, that you did not try hard enough or pay enough attention to separating the true from the false. But blaming yourself does no more good than blaming others, for without the dismantling of the ego self, without the dismantling of the self as separate and alone, you could not learn the truth, no matter how much attention you paid, no matter how mightily you tried. For on your own, you cannot learn the truth. On your own, only illusion can be learned, for your starting place is illusion.
On your own, you cannot learn the truth. I think you can highlight that.
Union is both the treasure and the key to the treasure. Union is both access and the place to which you desire access. All that exists in truth, union is means and end. To know the basic truth of who you are, that you are a being who exists in unity rather than in separation, is thus the first step to the access that you seek. Without knowing this, without knowing the truth of your existence, how could you be done with learning? This was what learning was for, and learning is not the way to the access that you seek. All that exists in truth, the truth of who you are, is means and end as well. Within you is the access that you seek, just as within you is the kingdom of heaven. 429. The access that you seek is not a tool that can be purchased through your right actions or even your longing and desire. For this access is not a tool, but a function of who you are. This access is, like breathing, something that is natural to you until you begin to think about it. Realize how unnatural your breathing becomes when it becomes the focus of your thought. Thinking about breathing imposes an unnatural constraint upon a natural function. Thinking in this time, beyond learning, could rightly be seen as a constraint you but try to impose on all that is natural. Your thinking, since it's a product of learning, does nothing but attempt to learn or teach.
But attempt. It can't. Yeah. No, you said it right. I'm just emphasizing the word attempt. Yeah.
Wah, wah. These are the natural responses of its training. Thus, a major key to your discovery of all that exists within you in the state of unity is an end to thinking as you know it. In practical terms, you might think of this as a disengagement from the details. Thinking is about details. I'm imparting to you the key to abundance and all the treasure that will come with the end of the time of learning. You, on the other hand, are thinking, learning, yearning, grasping for the details. You would like to know how, what, when, and where. While you concentrate on such as these, you impose a function unnatural to this time of Christ consciousness upon this time. It's as if you ask to clearly, it's as if you ask to see clearly and then hold your hands over your eyes. You cover over the portal of access to unity with a film of illusion. You hide the gate in the mist. Remember your breathing and how your concentration upon it affects it. Even learned skills react to this type of concentration. Yeah, try thinking about your golf swing.
Exactly. Or in case you played the piano.
Even learned skills react to this type of concentration. A pianist who suddenly thinks of the notes she is playing falters. An athlete who suddenly thinks of the requirements of the athletic task he's about to perform fails to perform with excellence. Why? Because a film of the unnatural is placed over the natural. Access simply exists within your natural state, much like breathing is simply a fact of the natural life of the body. Many, however, have applied a different kind of focus upon breathing as a form of meditation. In doing so, they let the natural serve the natural. That's beautiful. Many, however, have applied a different kind of focus upon breathing as a form of meditation. In doing so, they let the natural serve the natural. Some might go into the breathing and become one with it. Others might become the observer and in so doing remove themselves from the body entirely. There is a similar type of focus that will serve you now. It's not a tool, as is meditation, for you are no longer in need of tools. But you have taken yourself away from the ordinary world. You're on top of the mountain. What's this all about? Why have we gathered together here? Why is it said that during my 40 days and 40 nights, I meditated or prayed? It is said that during my 40 days and 40 nights, I meditated and prayed. It is said that I fasted. You've been told that you are here to fast from want. I'll take that. Fast from want. You know that you're here to experience both the old temptations and the new. You realize that this is the purpose of our time together here, even though you've not put this purpose into words and put these words into your mind. What is the focus of which I speak? The focus that is not meditation, the focus that is not a tool. This is a focus on access itself. You might think of the mountaintop as symbolic of a place close to God. If God was once seen as a figure in heaven, and heaven is a place beyond the clouds, then the mountaintop was symbolic of proximity. It was symbolic of a place from which God was almost touchable. As if one could just raise one's arms and touch God, stretch just a little more, and reach heaven. You thus may think of this time on the mountain as a time of getting in touch with your own access to God, your own access to heaven. You might think that if you stretch your idea of reality just a little bit farther, stretch your mind just a little beyond where it's comfortable going, that there you will find this access, this portal to all that lies beyond time and space, to all that exists in the place of unity. I sure could want that. We talked earlier of this as a time of fulfillment and desire. We acknowledged that your desire is stronger than ever before. Now is the time to focus on this desire and fulfillment, to stretch this desire to its limits, all the while realizing that its fulfillment lies already accomplished within, in the access that lies within. This is a longing that carries with it the desire to go beyond thinking, the desire to go beyond words, the desire to go beyond where your imagination is capable of taking you. It's a desire for true discovery, a desire to access the previously unknown. You must realize that here is where fear must be totally replaced by love. If you fear to go where the portal of access will take you, you will not go. Thus, your desire needs to be greater than your fear. Your love needs to reign. Love of self, love of your brothers and sisters, love of the natural world, of the world of form that is, love of the idea of the new world that can be. All of these must come together and be victors over the reign of fear.
So let me jump in here for a second.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening here is he's giving us all the what he called details that our thinking and our fears
Mm-hmm.
grow up in front of just getting to this place. He's giving us the details to let us know that he understands these details of thinking, all of this stuff that gets in the way, all the clouds that we put up between just seeing reality as it truly is. And by nailing the fears and these other things, it gives us a chance to clear away that one and clear away that one. So it's kind of like going back through those things for him,
Mm-hmm.
because ultimately it's really simple. It has to do with none of this stuff. The problem is getting all this stuff out of the way so we can get this access. So it's quite a challenge to use words, which he's already said is too much information in many cases, and just get to the point. He has to help us clear away the clouds. And that's what we're doing here. Even the temptations, those are the clouds.
Mm. Hear, hear.
Okay.
What choice have you made, my sister and my brother, if you've not made a choice of love? If you've not made a choice to reject the fear, if you've not yet made the choice for the new, if you're still willing to say that you can only go so far in your acceptance of the truth of who you really are, then our purpose of being together here on this mountaintop will go unfulfilled.
So all we have to do is make the right choices. And he's telling us what they are.
Yes.
But he's always a gentleman. He always gives us the choice to make. We have to make the choice.
Hear, hear. What tempts you here? What tempts you here? To look, to turn, and look toward the towns and cities below. What tempts you here? To turn and look toward the town and cities below, or to turn and look up to the portal of access to unity? Do you turn and look back at form and matter? Or do you turn and look up where no form exists? Do you believe that you can choose the formless and still return to the towns and cities, the green grass and the blue sea below? Why are we here but to show you these two choices? From where else could you clearly see the choice between form and the formless? But what, you may ask, of the elevated self of form? Why is this suddenly a choice between one or the other? It's the first choice of the new temptations, the first real choice of Christ consciousness of the time beyond learning. All right. The first choice.
So you get a temptation. A temptation comes, fear. And what you immediately can do is choose Christ consciousness.
Okay.
To get you past the temptation, whatever the temptation is. So we're learning what to call the temptation, so we have a name for it. Oh, that's lovely, Lee.
I'm preparing for 442.
Oh man, 442 is where it is. Smile.
Smile with me now as you think of yourself in this elevated place. You're still the self of... Sorry, go ahead. Little levity. Never hurt.
No, go for it.
No, I'm not going to go for it. You were saying something.
I wasn't really. Smile with me now as you think of yourself in this elevated place.
Smile.
You are still the self of form, despite the truth that you are literally with me in a place of high elevation. Is this where you choose to remain? A self of form elevated by circumstance?
Circumstance. No.
A self of form on a high mountain? Or do you wish to carry this elevation back with you when you return? Do you wish to return the self of form? Do you wish to return the self of form who once visited an altered state, this state of high elevation? Do you
You're
wish
never
to
going to
go
want to
back?
go back.
Do you wish to go back and tell tales of your experiences here and be made special because of this experience you can recount?
I was up on the mountain and God talked to me. So y'all better listen now. I got these plaques here. I got these 15,
Oh.
10 commandments.
Go for it, Vern.
Mel Brooks has always been spiritual.
That's right.
443. Or do you wish to go back, transformed into the elevated self of form, the elevated higher self of form? That's what I want.
Yes.
I want to be a transformer. Do you want to know? Do you want to know this place of access and carry it within you? Or do you only wish the opportunity to revisit it when the need arises?
Yeah, I'll drop by
No.
once in a while.
Yeah, no. I don't want to leave it up on the mountain. I want to put it in my pocket. I take it with me about that.
Right here in this pocket.
Are you here to fast and pray only to have to return when you've once again become a glutton of want? When you once again feel the lack that you would pray for? Surely this you can do, for I deny no one the journey to the mountaintop, not once or many times. But this is not what I called you to do. You've been brought here for revelation. You've been brought here to be tempted by the unknown of your inheritance, an unknown that, while it remains unknown, is still what you know you've longed for all your life. This unknown has been described in terms both specific and obscure. It's been described as all you've desired and more. It's been described as the end to the life of misery you have known and the beginning of new life.
It'll change your life.
And I tell you truly, here is where the new life either begins or is once again delayed. Is that what you're looking for? No. This is where the new life begins. Let's go. Time of all this messing around is behind us now, going away. Here is where you say, I want it all, desire it all, accept it all. For you cannot have of this in parts. Once full access has been revealed, what is yours is everything. But you will be different.
You'll be different.
This is a Pandora's box moment. No going back.
That's right.
Wholehearted access to everything. This is a real choice. What is a choice that leads not to difference of any kind?
No.
These are the only choices you have made in a lifetime of endless choices. This is it. Here comes the only choice you've ever really made in life.
Real choice.
And there's only one requirement for this choice. Wholehearted desire.
Yow, baby.
Wholehearted desire is what A Course of Love taught you, so that you could be taken to this place and tempted to leave behind the temptations of the human experience.
Wow.
All right, here's
Wow.
your opportunity. Here is your opportunity. Wholehearted desire is what A Course of Love taught you, so that you could be taken to this place right now and tempted to leave behind the temptations of the human experience. Now, the idea that we could do that and never be tempted again seems ridiculous, but every moment is that inflection point, is it not?
That's just a temptation.
Certainly a temptation and a distraction of the ego to say, why is this different
Perfect.
from any other time in the history that I can show you? Oh, look at this illusory history that you can see at and mull over. And
Yeah. That was pure ego, Lee. Nicely done.
tired of it. I'm ready to let it go, for sure. I do not have to spell out this choice for you know exactly what it means. It means you will be as I am. It means you will live from love rather than fear. I'm ready. It means you will demonstrate what living from love is. It means you will resurrect to eternal life here and now. Bummer. This is a big promise of the book.
Yeah.
It's the Gibb promise. You can't see this probably, but I spelled big backwards.
I got only half of it.
Right
I
on.
can see boo, B-O-O. It was book.
Well, I got boo. Okay. You will resurrect to eternal life here and now, and you don't have to die to do it. No turning back, No return to fear or anger, no return to separation, no return to judgment.
It's amazing, but if we said that, those last 3 or 4 sentences to anybody without them having read anything prior to it, they would just look at us like we're, ready for the cuckoo's nest.
Well, it is really difficult to go to the front of the line at a restaurant and place your order if you have no judgment. It's hard to function in the world without judgment. So they would look at us as cuckoo because in the world of form, you can't get there without this. But we're talking about judgment and fear and separation at a little bit higher level, at least. And
No
I'm
return
ready.
to separation, no return to fear or anger, no return to judgment. I am ready.
I'm ready. It means no longer trying to leave these things behind, for they will be gone. You don't have to try and leave these things behind again. No longer striving. It means no specialness. It means the individual is gone and that the self of union and all that continues to exist. It will mean peace, certainty, safety, joy with no price.
You've inherited it.
All right. That's all really wonderful. No, the old challenges, the old reasons for existing will be gone. All that will be left to do will be the creation of a new world in the only way it can come about, through unity. Your desire and your access are one and the same. If you desire this transformation wholeheartedly, if you make this choice with wholehearted desire, it will be done. And we will continue our dialogue so that you know more of the difference you have chosen. Once this difference is wholly known to you, we will begin true discussion of creation of the new, for you will be done with becoming.
I have to jump in here.
Please.
At the beginning of this chapter, and we are about to read 449,
Uh-huh.
I really was not thrilled to hear that, oh crap, more temptations. It's just going to be a drag. And it's that in itself was my ego trying to pull a curtain over what we have just read, which is the most glorious thing anyone can read and believe if we don't close it off from our consciousness.
Yes.
And I did it to myself, fortunately together. And that's why, even though we may be bumbling around a little bit, doing this together in unity is a very powerful way to get through this material. I
It
like
is
reading
truly
by
difficult, and
myself.
I guess as the reader, I get to be the lucky one that I get to set my own pace. But it's got to be jarring to try and keep up with my.
Sometimes, and you could actually read a little slower. It's hard to do, but when you get excited, that excitement is all by itself is good stuff too.
Well, I try
So
and get, yeah.
the unity, all week we're recording this because we want other people to at least see the joy that we're getting, and we hope that you who are listening will join us.
Yeah, the
And
URL is right below. So we meet every morning at 6 a.m. generally.
there you go. Intermission over. Advertisement done.
All
Page, paragraph 449. I've been waiting for this one.
right, 449. Here it comes. There are only
These.
these. Yes, these, not those, not theirs.
That's right.
449. These are the only temptations of the new that I can make you aware of until you have made your choice and have full realization of your access to unity. You will be able, of course, to continue on without making this wholehearted choice. But you will read only to learn, and learning will not transform you. So, don't do that. Stop and do this. Oh, no. All right. These are the only temptations of the new that I can make you aware of until you have made your choice and have your full realization of your access to unity. All right. There we go. If you do not truly, and I'm jumping down here, right here, if you do not truly and wholeheartedly desire this choice, if you do not truly and wholeheartedly meet the condition of being fearless, you will know this. You will pass through the time of coming to acceptance again and again until you're ready. You cannot fail, but can only delay. So, I had a lot of fear jump up inside of me a second ago, because when I see the condition of being fearless and that I have to be wholeheartedly fearless, oh, that makes me panic. How am I going to do that? I've never been wholeheartedly fearless.
So the idea of being wholeheartedly fearless brings in a lot of fear. What's wrong with that?
Well, it does only until you realize that you can't fail.
That's right.
Because you don't fail, you just do it again and again and again.
Until it does come. And knowing
The
that it
word
will come.
failure is the thing that throws fear up. When a cycle of something doesn't mean that it's a cycle of failure and success and failure and success and failure and try something new and failure and try something, even though it might be that. The judgment of failure is the thing that takes us down a peg and makes us feel like, yet
Okay.
again, I'm going to be stuck here. So anyway, you cannot fail, but only delay.
I think this is important to emphasize. I'm glad you did. It's a big difference between a wheel and
Yeah.
a spiral. The wheel keeps turning around and around and around, and although if it's attached to a car, it is moving you someplace. The wheel itself is just going around and around. If it's a spiral and you go around, but when you have gone all the way around, you're at a new place. So every time you go through these things, if you don't get it all the first time, you will get it the second time. He is giving us all of this obstacles in the way that might stop us from making the choice now. And it's only as much as we can comprehend of those choices that we can accept what he's saying. What you could do, what we could do, if it's not fully, if we're not fully feeling this wholehearted way of being fearless, is to, I like your spiral,
Thanks.
is to maybe go back a few paragraphs and then come back again, and it'll be more clear. So that's a very helpful thing. You could pause this recording right now and replay some of it, and then maybe it would make more sense if you're not fully ready right now to move forward in this incredible pathway that's been opened up for us.
In
Here.
the very next sentence, of course, is what would happen if you had paused and needed to go back and listen to it a couple more times. For some, the time of delay has passed. For those who linger in the time of acceptance, there's there's reason for this as well.
I have a way of doing that.
Do you choose? Oh, the annotations stay.
That's okay.
This may seem odd timing, as you have just been asked to accept your anger. Just think. Anger was discussed rather casually alongside accepting me, yourself, your higher self, and abundance. But none of these things are meant to be dwelt upon.
Whew, that's nice.
It's not a big deal, peeps. Shit. Let's try this again.
So many tools.
Okay. This may seem like odd timing as you have just been asked to accept your anger. Just think, anger was discussed rather casually alongside accepting me, yourself, and abundance. But none of these things are meant to be dwelt upon. The acceptance of abundance, no more so than the acceptance of anger. You're called to accept and not to look back, not to dwell in any of the states through which you arrive at acceptance, nor to focus on acceptance of one thing over another. You're not to label good or bad. Just accept. Accept all. You do not have to hesitate here because you think you're still angry or you think you're still depressed.
Duh.
When you hesitate, you've not accepted, but dwell with the cause of your hesitation. When you accept, you move on. To
So
be called,
acceptance is the key.
acceptance is the key to all of my problems today, as you'll find on page 449 of the Big Book. And that's why acceptance comes and rings so clear every time we read it, and it's here all over this page. Accepting me. Accept. Just accept.
And it's the fifth of the five states of mind that happen when something radical changes in your life.
Yeah, the 5 stages of grief, commonly
Which,
known as the 5 stages of grief, which is the 5 stages of any really transformative change in life. As you find when you go through challenges, life challenges.
it's all about acceptance.
So, when you hesitate, you have not accepted, but dwell with the cause of your hesitation. When you accept, you move on.
That's cool. Well done. That's the key, right? It really is
It
the
really
key.
is.
Accept
If
all.
you need a hint, then we'll jump to this point of the video. So that's really just, I'm going to put a flag at 50 because that is kind of the key.
And I want you to take the purple highlight and go back up just before the red and put in, yeah, purple.
To be called to make a new choice before full acceptance of what is would be confusing. You who are thinking that you have not moved through the stages to full acceptance, answer now as to what's stopping you. Right now. Do you choose to dwell or accept? Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Yay, man.
After all you cannot bring forward with you is fear. In other words, the only thing you can't bring forward with you is fear, for fear is the cause of the state of learning. That's what puts you there. You may have thought that separation was the cause. No, you've never been separate. But separation into form, had it occurred within the realization of the continuing relationship, would not have been cause for fear in and of itself. Had you still known relationship, fear would not have separated you from truth. You would not have dwelt in the illusion. The relationship of union is what you are here coming to know once again, which is why the time of fear, and along with it the time of learning, can cease to be. I have not so directly linked fear and the time of learning before. Fear is a great motivator, huh?
Yes.
But now you need to see their connection. If you do not, you will not realize that fear is all that needs to be left behind.
So that you can have all love.
You will still think you have more to learn because you're angry, depressed, in a state of denial contrary to the denial asked of you, or because you still feel like bargaining with God. These things are only reactions to faulty perceptions, only the steps towards acceptance until they are accepted. Steps toward acceptance until they are accepted. As we move into full access and awareness of unity, love is all that's required. Acceptance has been the means chosen by us to move you through the layers of illusion that you have disguised as your fear, to move you beyond false learning to the truth that only needs to be accepted. If you can move forward without fear, you can move forward. If you can move forward without fear, you will move forward only with love. If you move forward only with love, you will have realized there's nothing unacceptable about who you are except fear.
Wow. He really does have a remarkable way with words. But of course, it's
You,
much
but
more than that.
you know, he has a divine connection
You think?
that gives him the inspired way to be able to communicate with us. And it's weird to see it in a book. And
Yeah.
I can only say that it becomes clearer. We are on page 1238, so it's not like we're just starting to read through this, but it is kind of uncanny how quickly the questions that you read are answered. But you can
And,
think,
and, and even how quickly the questions unvoiced that are inside you still are answered as we go along.
here. You can but think that you can wholeheartedly desire to move forward with love and without fear, and that there is still anything that can hold you back. (454). You but think that you can wholeheartedly desire to move forward with love and without fear, and that there is still anything that could hold you back. This is what the time of acceptance was meant to show you. Nothing can hold you back except fear. You do not have to be perfect. Perfect is but a label, and all labels of any type cause is delay. All labels cause delay. All labels of any type.
Let's read the sentence.
You only have to be accepting of all that you are. Fear is not a part of what you are, which is why it cannot remain with you as the way opens for you to truly, for you to fully know the higher self of unity. Fear is not a part of what you are. You are about to achieve your first glimpse of wholeness, of oneness with God. to know the truth of your inheritance. Think a moment of the story of the prodigal son. All that the prodigal son was asked to do was to accept his own homecoming. Do you think he would have considered himself perfect as he approached his father's presence? Surely he would not have. You are asked to but accept your own homecoming. Leave behind the time of wandering, seeking, learning. Leave behind the fear for embrace of the love and the safety. To leave behind fear for the embrace of the love and safety of your true home. The choice has come before you. This choice has come before you. This choice has come before you might have expected it to. It does not come at the end, but at the beginning of our time together for a reason. This is simply because this choice is the beginning. This is the choice that allows us to continue our dialogue as one, to talk heart to heart, to have the kind of discourse that can only be had without fear. It's got to happen without fear. To truly experience relationship, it is from this beginning that you will come to be as I am.
There's a promise for you.
We are here for the final stage of your becoming, not because you've reached some ideal of enlightenment or what you think of as perfection. If this were asked of you, how many of you would have felt free to join me? Zero. Yet in your acceptance is your perfection realized without judgment. Without judgment. In your becoming is your enlightenment realized without judgment. Wow.
Are you as excited as I am by every word?
This week, there was an amazing thing happened in the site that I'm building. And the word judgment brings it back. Did I tell you about the guy that came in? He's our 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, maybe 15th customer. We have people coming in, getting their sizes measured, and they get to order one of the garments. We have 2 garments available right now. They're both dresses. Well, this gentleman really enjoys wearing dresses, and he was so excited to be able to come in and get one measured just for him, and he could choose all of his options. And one of the things that he said was, I've never felt so unjudged. I've never been so free in choosing a dress for myself and felt like I never walked into a store and be able to buy a dress and feel unjudged. But here I am designing my own dress. It's going to be created just for me, for no one else. It's not anybody else's but mine. And
That's
I feel
fabulous.
completely, it
What
was,
a discovery.
it was wonderful.
Out
And
of nowhere.
And of course, some of the people in Alabama had already judged before we'd even gotten to the point where we realized how powerful this could be for somebody to be able to go to a website and create a custom garment just for them that nobody ever judges and sees. Nobody ever, it's just a freeing thing. So it's one of my personas that I'm pursuing in terms of this is a target market that
Absolutely.
and it's not just men. It just happens to be that it had to be such a different kind of experience for us all to be jarred to the side for a minute to realize that every woman that goes in to go shopping
Sure.
feels judged. when they come out of the dressing room and the thing doesn't fit, they feel judged. This, that, and the next thing, everybody feels judged all the time. And it's the lack of judgment that you get that is the freeing thing to allow you to decide what you really want.
That's a fabulous story, Lee, and it's coming just now. It's a discovery of a whole new, in your case, in the real world of form, it's a discovery of a whole new class of customers. It's incredible. This is real stuff. It's exciting. Okay.
Okay.
Come on, one page to go.
Oh my gosh, we're on the cusp. In your becoming, is your enlightenment realized without judgment. These things become not achievements, but the acknowledgments of the accomplishment that has always existed within you and all of your brothers and sisters. Beautiful. Here's the beginning point from which we continue to burn away the remnants of the attachment to the old, the attachments that caused some of you to continue to feel sadness, anger, depression, nostalgia for the way that things were. This is me right here. A lot of the times it brings me down. It's all kinds of sadness. These things will not leave you before you leave them, but you will leave them.
There's a promise.
Time does heal all of this stuff, but the point is you can accept it today if you want. So join me in this choice, and we will leave behind the old and continue our movement toward the creation of the new. There are many discussions still to be had. We are only at the beginning of our time together. Our forward movement must be achieved, however, but one is needed to begin this movement. Followers will naturally succeed. The first although this will occur with no fanfare and no one to follow. The first will create a series. Thus will the secret of succession be returned to you and put behind us forever in the temptations of the human experience.
Can you read that last sentence one more time?
Sure. Thus will the secret of succession be returned to you and put behind us forever. And put behind us forever the temptations of the human experience.
Wow. I feel like I just came out of a mikveh.
Oi.
Oi. That's pretty wonderful stuff. Thank you, Lee. This has been a great reading.
All right.
I'm glad we were able to go all the way through day 4 together today.
Me too. Here.
Okay.
Have a wonderful one.
Thank you. You too.